Yo, this is Alup. You got pretty big balls to watch Thorin's YouTube videos.
If you want to save costs on skins in CSGO, then check out CS Money. It's one of the oldest marketplaces in the space. They have support available 24/7 to help you, so you can trade, buy, or exchange to your heart's content right now. Now, the IEM World Championship, as it's still labelled, basically Katowice, if you've been following the ESL circuit for the last 8 years at this point in time, 7 in CSGO, obviously takes place yet again in Katowice, Poland. Now, this is a terrible location to have a huge event, your World Championship, one of your biggest flagship events of the year, if CSGO and esports generally was a huge sport with massive money-making potential, that you wanted to be a global phenomenon. Now, if that was the case, that it was that thing, you'd want it to be in Cowboy Stadium where the Dallas Cowboys play in Texas, or the Staples Center where the Los Angeles Lakers play in LA, California, or the Bernabeu where Real Madrid plays in Madrid, or Wembley in the United Kingdom. The real Wembley, by the way, not the SSE Arena. I mean, even venues that ESL currently uses, the United Center for the IEM Chicago, where the Chicago Bulls play of the NBA, the Barclays Center where the Brooklyn Nets and the New York Islanders play, which they obviously use for ESL 1 New York. You'll notice those events, when they take place in those stadiums, tend to have fewer teams than events like Cologne and Katowice, and take place over fewer days to save costs, because they're massive venues. It's really difficult to run events in then. Katowice isn't even one of the biggest cities in Poland. Like, the big cities in Poland you'd go to again, if making money and making this as big as it could be was your objective, would be Warsaw, would be Krakow. We had the major in Krakow previously. Now, I will acknowledge, Katowice is in a very interesting place where it can be accessed by a lot of places in Poland, but still, it's not itself a central location, a place you want to go. Even if you want to go on holiday to Poland, don't go to Katowice. Go to Krakow or something. Apparently, it's banging there from the people that tell me. So, players complain privately a lot of the time when it's coming up to this event, and at the event, they'll message me about it. The location, difficulty getting food, lack of activities around there, how poor the transport is, forgetting aspects like the fact that you sometimes run into problems if you go out drinking in bars and stuff with the locals and whatnot. We'll put that to one side for the moment. Then you have the talent complaining about going there. I mean, there was a potential, I heard a rumour that maybe ESL Pro League would be hosted out of Katowice. I can tell you right now, Talent is not fucking happy with that. It's not somewhere they want to go for weeks and weeks on end to do all these games. But if you want to save money running a massive CSGO event, Katowice, Poland is a great, not just a good, a great location to have the event. Especially if you're in a scene where you're going to lose money running the event or struggle to break even. For cost-saving purposes, this is maybe the best location in the world. I mean, the Spodek Arena itself is not a world-class arena. It has a capacity, according to Wikipedia, of 11,500. Now, you'll note whenever you do a CSGO event, because you have to cut off back of the stadium to put the big screens that people watch, we don't tend to have a lot of 360-degree events where all the stuff's in the middle, like the Starladder Berlin Major. So as a result, you almost never get the full capacity listed on Wikipedia or the internet when you actually do a CSGO event. So it's nowhere near 11,500. I would guess probably 10,000, maybe. I've heard maybe as little as 8,000 or 9,000. I'll note, by the way, I forget the exact year. I think it was 2016, because I'm pretty sure it was Adam Apicella from MLG who replied to this. But I remember back in the day, Carmack even publicly lied in an interview or some sort of a tweet or something about the capacity and how many tickets they'd sold, where it was like literally logistically impossible that they'd sold as many as he claimed, from memory that is. Let me just contrast that a second. A venue where it will take even the amount that they list on the actual website, 11,500 seats. Now, the local football team, to me, when I lived in the United Kingdom, was Middlesbrough. And for most of the last few years, they haven't been a Premier League team. They dropped down to the Championship level, the division below the English Premier League, and then they often get promoted and then get relegated again, just because financially it's the sort of team that they are. Now, their stadium is called the Riverside Stadium, and it has a capacity of 34,742 seats, 3 times more than the Spodek Arena in Katowice, Poland. The Lanxess, where the great ESL Cologne, in my opinion, the best CSGO event in the world, is held, has a listed number of spaces of 18,000. So let's face it, that's closer to double than it is to the original number that Katowice's Spodek has. Now, admittedly, again, you cut off some of that. Normally they say around 15,000 for tickets for that event. Other events that ESL runs, how about ESL One New York, which is held in the Barclays Center in New York? That has a listed amount of 19,000 particular seats. Now, you can see already, having it in this venue, if you're going to lose money, this is a much cheaper place to have it. It's in a location that's not going to be as expensive. All of these stadiums I'm listing are more expensive, cost more to run. The ticket price is way higher in any of these than it would be to have your event in the Spodek. Now, I've heard it said, I think it was an interview I once saw, where it said that something crazy, like I think the number was 85% of the tourism to Katowice was coming as a result of ESL and the events they put on, which, by the way, isn't just CSGO. They also have run StarCraft 2. In the past, they've obviously run Dota 2, sometimes on different weeks. So when you consider what a massive boon having this Katowice event from ESL is to the area of Katowice specifically in Poland, not only does it benefit ESL, but based on what I'd heard behind the scenes, in past years I heard they actually got the venue for free or a very minimal cost, and actually there was even intimations that now maybe they even get paid, maybe they actually get money directly from the council or the government of Katowice or Poland in some sense itself to host the event there because it's so beneficial to the area. In the same way as in American sports, nowadays it's the city that pays for the actual stadium that a team plays in. Hence why the Chargers moved from San Diego to LA and the Raiders moved from LA to Las Vegas, etc. because those places were willing to pay for the newer stadium, were willing to pay for the essentially for you to run the costs of having that franchise. So in this sense, it makes absolute sense as to why they host the event in Katowice each year. Now, in terms of those tickets, remember, if this was a huge sport, well, the object of a real big sporting event with highly contested, like, competition that people are desperate to see is to host it in a big city, to pump up the ticket price, to ensure you sell out because loads of people are available to go and see the event. So let's look at the tickets for Katowice in 2020, shall we? Now, the normal tickets, we're talking about not a premium ticket. There are two different levels, and they are either 220 Polish zloty, which is roughly $56, or 340 Polish zloty, roughly $85. Total for all 3 days. So for $56, you can get a seat to all 3 days of IEM Katowice 2020. That's $19 a day for the first tier and $28 a day for the second day. So to go to all 3 days of IEM Katowice is the cost of 12 Big Mac meals in Poland. Can you even imagine going to a huge sporting event or going to an event in a place like the Barclays Center, the United Center, Barclays Arena or whatever, one of these massive venues, even an English Premier League game, and getting in for $19? It'd be outrageous. That just never happen. I'll also add, right this moment, as you watch this video, tickets are still available on ticket websites for the event. And the event itself has begun, although admittedly, the part where the fans come in is later in the week. So it hasn't even sold out yet. Then let's add in a detail that people will have heard me mention in the past, but they might not be aware is still the case. And that is that to this day, at the 2020 IEM Katowice event, they still let people into the event for free. At zero cost, you queue up and you can get in. Now, you can watch this Carmack video if you want to see him confirm as much. It's towards the end of the video, unsurprisingly. Now, that might seem counterintuitive to my whole point, right? If I'm talking about ESL does this event there as a cost-saving measure, well, how would letting people in for free help? You're not going to make any money off them. Well, as I just said, with the tickets not having sold out yet, even with a limited number of tickets available, not the whole capacity, they haven't sold out, probably won't sell out. And then they want people in there, even if they're not paying, to build up this fake veneer that it's a full stadium, that it is going to sell out, that these are the greatest fans in the world. You notice that's often the angle that they push, that Carmack pushes, that these are somehow a special breed of fans. Unlike those fans, he won't say it directly, but the implication is directly there, in America, in Germany, etc. No, these are special fans because they'll queue up, yeah, for free, mate, to come to your event. That's why when they do that, basically, since they're not going to sell out anyway, it's way better to sell less tickets and make less money, but have all the pictures be a stacked stadium to make the event look amazing, than it is to make a few €100 more to sell a few more of those tickets. Hence why every fucking photo you ever see of Katowice is one of those fisheye lens bent ones where it makes it look enormous, and that's how you make a 10,000 person audience look like 30,000, as though it was the fucking Bernabeu in Madrid. Like, holy fuck, look at all those fans. Oh, wait a second, they're all bent around because of the angle that the camera's using. So one of the guys from ESL actually did a tweet where he responded to me, commenting on the format moving to best of 3 in the first round. It used to be best of 1 in the first round for ESL 1 Cologne, etc. in the traditional ESL format. So obviously they moved to best of 3 for the first round. Great addition, right? Ulrich Schulze from ESL decided to meme on me and say it was one of those cost-saving elements we introduced because I myself said that this is basically the cost-saving World Championship. That's what it is. It's not the IEM World Championship. It's IEM Cost-Saving Championship because you host it there to save money. It's not because esports is massive and this is your best event and the best location to have it and the best fans. It's not at all. Now, here's the problem. As a joke, that's mildly amusing in the context of what I said. He's trying to meme on that and refer back to it. The problem is, it's actually not funny in the context of who he is and his job at ESL, because they are running it as cost-saving exercise. His comment there would actually suggest otherwise. That's why it's supposed to be humorous and a joke. The joke is, well, of course, they're not doing it for that reason. So that's why he's making fun of something that clearly isn't a cost-saving measure. To have a best of 3 takes more time and more time in a venue than having a best of 1. Therefore, he's joking that, the implication is, of course, they're not saving costs. The problem is, there are certain jokes that, depending on your job, no longer are funny because of the context of your job and actual reality. The expectation of the joke is, I'm saying this is a joke because, of course, it isn't true. This is like when Obama made those jokes in one of those speeches, maybe like White House press correspondence dinner, where he said something like, my daughters are getting to a certain age and, all I'm going to say is drone strike. And his joke was like, if you try and fuck with my daughters or try and date them, I'll kill you in a drone strike. Now, the reason why that might seem funny as a joke for a dad to make, but the reason why that wasn't funny for the President of the United States, President Barack Obama, to make, is because his administration does kill, or rather did kill, innocent people in drone strikes. That's no longer actually funny when you're actually doing the thing that the implication of the joke is you, of course, wouldn't do. So that's the point. So my problem here is ESL will always spin everything as positive and, crucially, unnecessarily lie to you that the plate of horse shit they're feeding you is the finest Belgian chocolate in the world. And hence, having an event in a location nobody really wants to attend generally is presented as the best possible place and an amazing location with a special type of flavour to it, because that's the spin they have to do. What I would say is this. I don't blame ESL for holding their event there. I think it's actually very shrewd in the current economic climate. What I would say is this, though. Whereas it might have been cool to have it there on the first edition, now on the 8th edition, back in 2013, or when it was CSGO in 2014, that was cool. Back then, it wasn't often the case you were in big stadiums or exotic locations around the world, or even if you were, you'd be in a shit stadium there. In 2020, it's actually an indictment of where the industry is at economically for stadium events, that you're holding one of your flagship events, in theory your best event of the year, in Katowice, Poland, not some very prestigious, massive, high-profile venue somewhere else where the tickets would cost $100, $200, $300, as opposed to $19 a day or a bunch of Big Macs to go and watch the game, or even you can just come for free and we'll let you in anyway. They wouldn't let you in for free at my local football team, one that, if you go to some of the places I've lived in the UK where there were teams in Division 3, you can't even get in for free there. You still have to pay a minimum fee, probably about $19, quite frankly. So enjoy the IEM Cost Saving Championship. At the moment, it's just where we are as an industry. This video was kindly supported by Alexander Rao, Andrew, Blunt Smoking Anus Destroyer, Dean Tanglis, Chi Mao, JDubs, NateDOhDoubleG, Peter the Feeder, Tobias Bernasconi, and a special thanks, as always, goes out to Jerky's Minion. Would you like to suggest a topic or a guest for my content? Maybe you want to ask me a question in my monthly AMA. Would you like teasers for who the next guests are on my shows? Maybe you even want to take part in a niche, obscure esports discussion with me. We'll put your money where your mouth is and join the Scrilluminati today at the Patreon link in the description box below.